The force of nature made itself felt in North Texas when an unexpected storm turned a quiet Sunday into a day of chaos. The impact was immediate and severe. Massive hail and destructive winds battered cities like Sanger, Denton, and Anna, leaving behind a trail of destruction that was difficult to measure in the first hours. Initial reports described torn-off roofs, smashed vehicles, and streets transformed into icy rivers. In Sanger, the partial collapse of the roof of a Walmart distribution center raised alarms, opening a hole more than 40 feet wide and creating an emergency that demanded an immediate response from local crews. The hail did not come alone. Within minutes, violent gusts overturned several trailers on Interstate 35 East, blocking the roadway and multiplying accidents. Trapped drivers and cars crushed by falling branches revealed the power of a storm that offered no reprieve. The scene worsened with every passing minute. Backyards were buried under a thick layer of hail that piled up as if winter had suddenly arrived in the middle of September. Broken windows and punctured facades became a common sight across residential neighborhoods. The phenomenon spread rapidly across the northern part of the state, impacting dozens of communities. In some areas, hailstones exceeded an inch in diameter, damaging roofs, windshields, and crops, causing incalculable losses for farmers and families alike. Meteorologists quickly issued severe storm warnings for counties such as Denton, Young, and Grayson, urging residents to take shelter. It was confirmation that this was not a routine episode, but a high-risk weather event. In Denton, emergencies multiplied. Weakened structures gave way under the weight of accumulating ice, and firefighters worked to evacuate people trapped inside damaged buildings. One person was seriously injured and transported to a nearby hospital, while the county activated its Emergency Operations Center to coordinate the response. But the worst was still unfolding. In Jean, storm chasers captured striking images. Highways covered in ice, constant lightning, and gusts so strong that standing upright was nearly impossible. Hail the size of golf balls caused immediate damage to vehicles and structures. Widespread power outages soon followed. Thousands of customers were left without electricity as branches fell onto power lines and transformers were destroyed. Repair crews were hindered by blocked roads and the risk of additional collapses. Transportation on the ground and in the air collapsed within hours. Dallas, Fort Worth, and Houston airports canceled more than 90% of scheduled flights. Stranded passengers crowded terminals, facing the uncertainty of not knowing when they would be able to travel again. On the highways, the numbers were alarming. The Texas Department of Transportation reported more than 150 incidents, many of them multi-vehicle pileups along stretches of I-35. Highway patrol officers warned that ice on the surface measured several centimeters thick, turning roadways into deadly traps. The scientific explanation did little to lessen the magnitude of the disaster. Experts pointed to an Arctic front colliding with humid air from the Gulf of Mexico, creating a perfect recipe for catastrophe. Rain froze instantly upon contact with the ground, triggering a prolonged ice storm. The strain on hospitals was another symptom of the crisis. Clinics in Denton and surrounding towns treated patients with hypothermia, fractures from falls, and injuries caused by falling debris. Health authorities urged caution and warned that medical services were reaching their limits. The city of Anna also faced a collapse in its water system. Frozen intake valves and electrical failures at pumping stations forced officials to issue a boil water advisory, though the lack of power made compliance difficult for many residents. As hours passed, communities began opening improvised shelters. Schools, community centers, and gyms filled with families seeking warmth and safety. Firefighters and volunteers distributed blankets and food while trying to maintain order in the midst of confusion. Weather warnings remained in place late into the night. Although no tornadoes were confirmed, radar showed partial cloud rotations resembling tornado conditions, increasing fear among residents. By dawn on Monday, what remained was an extensive swath of destruction. Thousands of homes were still without electricity, and entire roads were blocked by fallen trees and debris. Emergency teams raced against time to clear paths and restore basic services. The first estimates revealed the true scale. More than 23,000 properties damaged by hail larger than 1 inch, and roughly 19,000 with severe damage from hailstones up to 1.75 inches. Numbers that placed this event among the worst in recent state memory. Images of the storm spread rapidly, showing punctured rooftops, vehicles rendered unrecognizable, and streets resembling frozen rivers. The overall reaction was disbelief. In just a matter of hours, a single weather system had brought an entire state to its knees.